Halloween was always a big deal in our house. Always. But for me, it was more than haunted lights and fog machines. For me, Halloween meant something deeper. The kind that changes you in ways you can never undo. That year, my mom granted a wish she didn't understand. And by morning, neither of us saw me the same way again. They say be careful what you wish for, because some wishes bring joy, others bring regret. But mine, it brought truth. A truth I didn't even know was hiding in my heart. And by sunrise, I wasn't the same person anymore. If I could take it back, I don't know that I would. Because this is the story of the Halloween that changed everything, the night I stopped pretending and finally started becoming. To me, femininity was art, expressive, fearless, and somehow free. Even before that October, before everything changed, I'd always been quietly fascinated by feminine things. The soft swish of a skirt as someone walked past. The shimmer of lip gloss catching sunlight through classroom windows. The graceful way girls carried themselves, like their movements had rhythm and purpose, like they were dancing through life while the rest of us just walked. I'd watch them, not with envy, but with this deep, aching admiration, a quiet longing I couldn't quite name. At home, when Mum wasn't around, I'd sometimes experiment. Nothing dramatic, just small acts of rebellion against my own reflection. But this year felt different. I was 17, standing at the edge of myself, staring into a future I couldn't picture, because I didn't know who I was supposed to be in it. Mum must have sensed it. Somehow she always did. And that was the thing about her, she always noticed when I was slipping behind my own mask. Halloween was her favorite time of year. She loved turning our front porch into this elaborate haunted theater, fog machines rolling across the lawn like ghostly waves, carved pumpkins glowing like tiny suns, candy trails leading straight to the door. She'd spent weeks planning it, sketching layouts, testing sound effects, timing her jump scares to perfection. To her, Halloween was performance art. I didn't know then that those words would open a door I could never close again. The night before Halloween, Mum found me in my room, staring at an old photo. It was me at 5 years old, dressed as a fairy princess for a costume contest I barely remembered. Pink tulle everywhere, sparkly wings, a plastic tiara that kept sliding off my head. In the photo, I'm grinning like I've just discovered something wonderful. Mum appeared in my doorway, saw what I was holding, and smiled softly. "You love that costume," she said softly. "You begged me for those wings." Cried when I suggested being a superhero instead. I tried to shrug it off, I was a kid. Kids are weird. But her eyes lingered on me, curious, patient, like she was waiting for something I hadn't said yet, something I'd been holding back for years. Later that night, we sat at the kitchen table carving pumpkins. The smell of pumpkin guts filled the room, and our hands were covered in orange pulp and seeds. That's when she asked, if you could wear anything tomorrow, anything in the world, no limits, no judgment, what would it be? I froze. My carving knife hovered over the pumpkin's crooked smile. My heart started racing in that way. It does when you're standing at the edge of a cliff, deciding whether to jump. For a moment, the truth pressed against my chest so hard it hurt. I'd imagined it for years, the outfit that wasn't a joke or a dare or a disguise, but a reflection of how I actually wanted to feel, how I actually wanted to be seen. Finally, I said it. A steampunk costume. Feminine. Detailed. Beautiful. The words hung in the air between us like fog. Mum blinked, caught off guard. Her knife paused mid-carve. She hesitated, smiling uncertainly. "Wayne, that's quite specific. Are you sure that's what you want?" I looked right at her, really looked at her, and said, "You said anything. That's anything." There was a pause. Long. Waited. Full of something unspoken passing between us. She set down her knife, wiped her hands on a dish towel. And then she nodded slowly. "All right," she whispered. "Then that's what you'll have." I thought she was joking, until I saw what she'd done the next morning. Halloween morning arrived with golden autumn light filtering through my bedroom curtains. I woke up slowly, blinking away dreams I couldn't quite remember, and that's when I saw it. On my bed lay a box wrapped in silver paper, tied with a burgundy ribbon. My heart started pounding before I even opened it. Inside was a steampunk-inspired costume, but calling it a costume felt wrong, because it was too beautiful, too intentional, too real. The centerpiece was a short burgundy dress with gold and brown vertical striped corset detailing at the bodice. The dress had puffed short sleeves trimmed in black and gold along the hemline, giving it vintage flair. There were accessories too, a black choker necklace, delicate but bold, a decorative top hat adorned with miniature goggles and brass gears, classic steampunk elements that somehow felt both theatrical and authentic. And then, the boots. Black thigh-high patent leather boots with a glossy finish and platform heels. Polished to perfection, bold, modern, unapologetically feminine. Tucked inside the box was a note in Mum's handwriting. Every wish deserves to be seen. Mum. It was too much. Too real. Too exactly what I'd imagined in my most secret, vulnerable moments. I told myself it was just a costume. Just one night. Just Halloween. But then Mum knocked on my door and said, "Let me help you get ready." And something in her voice made it feel sacred. She began gently, guiding me to sit at my desk while she stood behind me, brushing my hair back with her fingers, soft, careful strokes that reminded me of being a child again. Then came the foundation, cool and creamy against my skin, her fingertips gliding across my cheeks, my forehead, my chin, erasing every freckle, every shadow I'd always noticed in mirrors and hated. Each layer of color, each soft pat of powder made my reflection blur and reform, then blush. Faint warmth spreading across my cheekbones, giving my face dimension I'd never seen before. Eyeliner next, light pressure tracing near my lashes. When she applied mascara, I had to hold still while she whispered, "Look up, now down." I blinked and felt the delicate tug of each lash. Finally, lip tint. A deep rose hue that tasted faintly of cherries. When she stepped back, I didn't recognize my own softness. Then came the dress. Sliding it on was like stepping into another life. The satin brushed against my skin like water that already knew its path. Cool, smooth, inevitable. The corset hugged my frame, drawing my posture taller, my breath steadier. I felt held, like the dress knew exactly who I was supposed to be and was helping me become it. When I stood, the hem grazed my thighs lightly with every movement. The puffed sleeves made my shoulders seem smaller, more graceful. Mum zipped it up slowly, and for a moment neither of us spoke. We just stood there, breathing together in the quiet. Then the boots, the glossy patent leather hugged my legs as I pulled them on, tight and sleek, like a second skin. When I rose to stand, the heels shifted my entire balance. I had to move differently, carefully, elegantly. Each step felt deliberate, purposeful. My reflection no longer looked like someone trying to be feminine, it looked like someone becoming whole. She placed the top hat on my head and adjusted the choker around my neck. I felt something awaken inside me, like a quiet pulse that had been waiting years for this exact moment. The weight of the outfit, the scent of the makeup, the pressure of the heels, it all blended into one strange, breathtaking truth. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was wearing something. I felt like I was becoming something. She whispered, "You look right." And truly, I believed her. That's when the doorbell rang, and everything changed. Kids were already gathering outside for the annual Halloween parade, a neighborhood tradition where everyone walks through the decorated streets, showing off their costumes. Mom insisted I go with her, said no one would care. It was Halloween after all. Everyone was in costume. Everyone was pretending to be someone else. But I wasn't pretending. That was the problem. As soon as we stepped outside into the crisp October air, I felt it, the shift. All eyes turned. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wind through leaves. Laughter, confused, uncertain, heads leaning together, phones being pulled out. Then one voice cut through the noise. My friend Mason. Whoa, dude, that's actually insane. You look. He stopped himself, unsure how to finish that sentence. And before I could respond, he yelled to the others, "You make a better girl than half the girls here." Everyone laughed, not cruelly, not kindly, just uncertain. Like they didn't know what to do with what they were seeing. Some people stared openly. Others looked away quickly. A few younger kids pointed and asked their parents questions I couldn't hear the answers to. But through all the noise, through all the attention I'd feared my entire life, I felt calm. Because for once, I wasn't pretending. I wasn't performing some exaggerated caricature. I wasn't doing this for laughs or shock value. I was just being. Even under the laughter, even through the stares, I felt something like freedom. The kind of freedom that only comes when you finally stop running from yourself. But freedom has a price, and I paid for it before the night was over. As the night deepened and the sky turned from purple to black, Mom and I stopped by the community bonfire in the park. Everyone was there, neighbors, classmates, teachers, people I'd known my whole life. The firelight cast dancing shadows across faces I'd seen 1,000 times, but somehow looked different now. Or maybe I was the one who looked different. I caught fragments of whispers drifting through the smoke. His mother let him do that? It's actually kind of awesome. I wish I had that confidence. Do you think he's... One older woman, Mrs. Henderson from 3 houses down, touched Mom's arm gently and said, "I love the brave outfit. And the makeup too." Mom smiled, but her voice trembled when she replied, "He's not the only one who needed courage tonight." Her words hit me harder than any of the stares, because I realized something in that moment, standing there by the fire with embers floating up into the darkness like tiny stars. It wasn't just my wish she'd granted, it was hers too. The wish to see her child happy, no matter what form that took. The wish to support something she might not fully understand but loved anyway. The wish to be brave enough to let me be brave. That's when I understood the real transformation hadn't just happened to me. When we got home, the house was quiet, except for the sound of our footsteps on the hardwood floor. I went to my room, stood in front of the mirror, and tried to take it all off, to rewind, to go back to before. But when I looked at my reflection again, I couldn't. I just couldn't. Because the person staring back at me wasn't a stranger, wasn't a costume, wasn't a performance, it was me. A version of me I'd always longed for, a version that felt more real than anything I'd ever pretended to be. I saw myself clearer than ever before, not through the eyes of fear or shame or expectation, but through the simple, honest truth of recognition. This is who I am. This is who I've always been, and that's when I realized Mom didn't just grant my wish, she ignited it. She took this tiny, terrified spark I'd been carrying alone in the dark and gave it oxygen, gave it space, gave it permission to burn, and somewhere between who I'd been and who I was becoming, I finally stopped hiding. Halloween ended, but something in me didn't. The next morning, I woke up expecting regret, expecting to feel exposed, vulnerable, like I'd revealed too much. But instead, I felt lighter. The costume was neatly folded on my chair, cleaned and pressed, like something sacred, like something worth preserving. There was another note from Mom. "Whenever you're ready, Mom." 3 words that meant everything. Because the truth is, she hadn't granted the wrong wish. She'd granted the one I was too afraid to make for myself. The wish to be seen, to be accepted, to be loved exactly as I am. Some wishes, I've learned, aren't mistakes. They're mirrors. They say Halloween is the night when masks come off, when truth walks freely under the moonlight. That night, I learned that some costumes aren't disguises, they're revelations. And the wish my mom should never have granted? It's the one that finally made me feel real. Because sometimes, the scariest part of transformation isn't what you become, it's realizing you were never pretending in the first place. That Halloween was 3 years ago now, and I'm still becoming. Still discovering, still grateful for the mother who saw a wish I couldn't speak and made it real anyway. Thank you for listening. Your story matters too. Because sometimes, the hardest wish to make is the one that finally sets you free. The Gender Diary exists to light that path with shared stories. Whether you found connection in this narrative, you're on your own journey of gender exploration, or you're here seeking understanding, your subscription fuels our mission. Every subscriber empowers us to keep illuminating these authentic experiences for our community. Kindly drop a comment below. Your voice adds to the tapestry of experiences that makes this space meaningful. Until our next story unfolds.